Okay, welcome to a breakdown of the Jujutsu Kaisen D&D system. Well, first off, to make a correction to the comment I made in the last video, I said that there wasn't going to be any session next week. There would actually be a special video. Well, stuff got changed around, so in actuality, the special video is happening today, and a normal, kind of special session is happening same time next week. But since we're officially releasing this system, I thought I'd give a little quick breakdown of the system itself and kind of what my thoughts were whenever I was creating it. So let's begin. Hi, this is future editing me. Yeah, don't watch this video. Don't watch this video. You shouldn't watch it, period, because I don't want to post this, but I kind of need to. So don't watch this video and expect it to give you 100% explanation of what to do. This is a brief rundown of the actual Jujutsu Kaisen system we created. So, if you want to actually understand the system and the 1C system, because that is very important, read through the 1C system and read through the JJK system that I'm about to talk about. Yeah, read through those two systems very thoroughly, because I do a bad job at explaining it. So, also heads up, if you don't want to listen to somebody try to awfully explain a system in the worst way possible, don't watch this video. Just just read through the system, go in the comments, and either put some critiques in or some questions you have about the system. And yeah, that's kind of it. If you don't want to watch this video, just go read the system and then put any questions or comments you have in the comments. Question or comments you have in the comments. Yeah, sure, do that. Now I'm gonna have past me ramble for the next 40 minutes. Have fun with that. Will of the Cursed is My Hero Class 1C Jujutsu Kaisen reskin / add-on, which, or as I like to call it, it's a Class 1C DLC, where we took the base system of Class 1C and added a bunch of stuff onto it. This was created by me, Houseman, and Justin, who is Fuchs's player. Excuse me. This system is a JJK system, as I like to call it, that is based on the My Hero Class 1C and Breathe and Live system, both made by Sunlight Yellow. My Hero Class 1C is what we use, is the baseline gameplay of everything. It is what we based everything on, the roles are based on, the classes are based on, all that. The only thing we changed from My Hero Class 1C is that quirks are no longer quirks, and they are now curse techniques. And we changed a bunch of other stuff. But Breathe and Live, you'll specifically see where I used it. That's links for all of his stuff. Go check that out. Well, you should, most of you people already probably know because you're from the Discord, but whatever. In the Class 1C Discord. Alright, character creation is the exact same as Class 1C, so what you need to do to create a character is go into the Class 1C system and then follow step by step, except for whenever you get to stamina. Because stamina, which is now curse energy in our system, we changed the formula, which is instead of originally stamina is 10 plus power times 5, we changed it to 15 plus technique times 5. The reason I did that was because stamina being based on power makes sense back when it was stamina, but now that it's curse energy, it doesn't make a lot of sense for it to be, based on all that stuff. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense for curse energy based on stamina, because there are some people like Megami who doesn't have a lot of strength, but he has a lot of curse energy. Also, there are some minor manga spoilers. This is more related to like techniques and stuff like that, and less actual plot related stuff. There's no plot related stuff, and there are some characters who show up. Like this guy, where it's like, if you've watched the anime, you have no idea who this is, but if you read the manga, which is technically a spoiler, but whatever. Grade levels in the system work the exact same in Jujutsu Kaisen. However, we added grade below 4th grade, which is 5th grade. 5th grade is usually, say, for like fly heads and stuff like that. They're The weakest grade, and they mean absolutely nothing. They are there to put like numbers to a grade level that's fodder. Because if I were to put like count fly heads as grade 4, that would bring down the grade 4 like stat average. So didn't want to do that. So there's now a separate grade below grade 4 called grade 5. Curse energy replaces stamina in the system and acts essentially the same. The only difference is that if you succeed in a control roll, you can flow your curse energy into objects, body parts, other people, etc. So essentially, in order to use curse energy, you must roll control. And you can, once you succeed on a control roll, you can use your curse energy in many different ways, such as infusing your curse energy into objects or directly into your attacks. So for instance, let's say you want to punch somebody. Let's say you want to punch a curse. Well, you can enhance your punch by rolling control and succeeding. By succeeding in that, you add an extra d4 by successfully bringing up and flowing your curse energy into whatever object you are using to hit. That's what most sorcerers do whenever they are fighting. If they are not using curse techniques, that whole glow around their arms and stuff is them flowing their curse energy in. And whenever you succeed at that, you add an extra 1d4 of damage. You can also use this to reinforce your body to reduce damage. Whenever you do a block reaction, if you succeed on a control roll, you can enhance your body and reduce the damage by an extra 1d4. So if you were to block, succeed on your forward 2 roll, and then succeed on control roll, you could take half damage and then minus that half damage by an extra d4. And if they fail, the attack still continues, they just don't get any boost. Same thing with defense. If it fails, nothing happens, they just do not get the boost. However, if they fail on a curse energy roll, this will only be important whenever you're fighting curses. Output, this is mainly for trying to go above and beyond normal. So the whole enhance your body more goes over into imbue. However, doing stuff like what this guy did, that falls under output, where you are expanding your curse energy further than what you usually do. And so because of that, it starts to cost curse energy. Imbue is where you imbue an object, person, anything with your curse energy. In order to do this, you must pass a control check. Imbuing curse energy into different objects doesn't really do anything different. Like, if you want to imbue an object into a bat and you hit somebody with the bat, it does the same. It does the same extra d4 of damage. There is no different rules for different things. They all do the exact same thing of imbuing curse energy. Either enhances strength or enhances the defense. Reverse Curse Technique. Reverse Curse Technique, RCT, is a technique that by multiplying negative curse energy by negative curse energy, it turns it into positive curse energy. Positive curse energy can be used to heal sorcerers, allies, and is effective against exercising curses. In order to do Reverse Curse Technique, you first have to, you have to unlock the skill. Once you have the skill unlocked, you have to do a high control check. When you pass that high and difficult control check, you heal 1d10. You can, once you get the technique, you can only heal yourself and you can only do self-targeting Reverse Curse Technique, because they said in the source material that non-self-targeting Reverse Curse Technique is way harder than self-targeting Reverse Curse Technique, so you have to actually go out and unlock another skill to be able to heal allies. However, once you are able to heal allies, you can also damage curses, because positive curse energy absolutely destroys curses who are made of negative curse energy. For that, you would just roll the same thing for healing, but instead of healing, it does damage. On top of this, you can also, with Reverse Curse Technique, do Curse Technique Reversal. However, in order to do this, you have to unlock the Technique Reversal skill as well. Curse Technique Reversal is where you reverse Curse Technique. We see this is essentially Gojo's Red, where instead of pushing stuff, what does blue do? Whatever blue does, where blue brings stuff in, red pushes stuff out, it essentially does the opposite. We also see Kenjaku does a lot in manga, but that's manga spoilers, but it's what Kenjaku does for that one technique he spams a lot, and what Gojo does whenever he does with red. You can unlock this, and that's kind of up to the DM, much like with curse techniques, where, well, I should actually go back to that. Oh no. Oh, that got messed. God, that got messed up. Whatever. Oh, okay, that's weird. Whatever. I need to fix that. But since we're talking about, oh my god. Sorry about that. But since we're talking about curse techniques, I kind of got these slides mixed up. I accidentally skipped this. Let's go to curse techniques. Curse techniques are the abilities made by Jujutsu sorcerers to better that they use to better defeat curses. Curse techniques can be anything you want it to be. As long as the DM okays it, you can do it. And the way to do this is to first off say, hey, DM, I want this to be my curse technique. And DM will say, cool, you can do that. Maybe let's get rid of this and that, or let's add this and that. Essentially, you and the DM are going to have to talk through what your curse technique is, because there is no way to build a curse technique from scratch. You have to essentially just talk to the DM, and you guys will slowly work it out until you feel like it is balanced, essentially. Like, you'll figure out how much curse energy to control, curse energy, how much you have to roll control for the curse technique. Because in order to perform curse technique, you have to pass a control roll. Once you pass the control roll, you can use your curse technique. And then once you use the curse technique, you have to pay, well, first off, before you use curse technique, you also have to pay costs and curse energy. However, if you don't want to just use curse technique, there are also sorcerers who do not use curse technique or do not have that. Those sorcerers can use curse tools, use shadow style, or use their hands and fists, like Yuji. So, sorcerers who start off with no curse technique, but who start off with new shadow style instead, they can do that. However, they are not allowed to have a curse technique and new shadow at the same time. So if you don't want, so like if you want new shadow off of the start and you want to be like Miwa, you cannot have a curse technique. You can have it later on, but at least at the beginning, no curse technique. However, if you start with new shadow style, first off, you get a simple domain. On top of that, you also start off with Beto Draw, where if you were to learn new shadow style later on, you would have to learn Beto Draw. However, if you start with it, you just get it. Or you can start with a curse tool and be kind of like Maki. Or if you're, and also if you want to be like Yuji and just fight with your fists and curse energy, you have a higher output starting off with. It's only like an extra 1d4. However, there are some people who want to be like Akari, have a non-lethal domain that is directly tied to their curse technique. You can do that as well. However, you cannot start off with a non-lethal curse technique. You have to slowly work towards that, essentially. However, you can still like summon abilities found in their domain. Again, like Akari did with the train doors and stuff like that. He probably started off, at least in our game, in the system, I'm saying that he didn't just immediately start off with Idol Death Gamble. He started off with like train car doors and stuff like that. Then he eventually grew to the point where he got domain extension, and then he unlocked his full potential of what his curse technique is. Technically, that's not how it works, because like Higuruma just had his domain expansion and then he worked backwards. In our system, to balance it, we are saying you have to work towards it. However, people who have a non-lethal domain that is tied to their curse technique, or is their curse technique, they start off with 10 extra CE. I explained this poorly. You should read this in detail. Advanced curse technique applications. Extension techniques or abilities derived from the user's innate techniques. These techniques don't have to follow the rules of the original technique, being able to expand the capacity of the original technique. Some examples are like Straw Daw technique, Resonance, Ratio technique, Collapse, and Distorted Flame, Ember Insights. Another form, similar to another form of curse technique application is Maximum Output. Maximum Output is an extension technique where the user puts in the maximum amount of CE they can output, and the usage of the technique. To perform this, the player would need to perform a hard control check before. Some examples of this are Flowing Red Scale Stack, Curse Technique Lapis Blue, Maximum Output, Frost Calm. All of these two can be learned on your own, essentially. However, Maximum techniques, you have to unlock the maximum technique skill in order to do this. These are just something that you can get with your curse technique. It's just something you learn. Maximum technique is something is you have to unlock the skill before you can gain a maximum technique because of just how strong maximum techniques there are. A maximum technique is an extension technique that uses the maximum potential of the innate technique. The highest form of Jujutsu other than domains. Pick up a curse technique without adding anything else but raw godlike skill. Some examples of maximum techniques are curse spirit manipulation, maximum Uzumaki, raw technique, Wind King, and disaster flame meteor. These are techniques that usually go to people who don't want a domain expansion. Like if you don't want your character to have a domain expansion, cool. You can have a maximum technique instead. Binding vows. Binding vow is a pact made with Jujutsu that creates connection for themselves or agreement with others. Binding vows are essentially going to be made to change the way your curse technique works. So, like for instance, let's say you want your curse technique to have a wide range. You want the range to be increased. Well, cool. You can make a binding vow saying you reduce damage in exchange for wider range. You can obviously break these vows, but if you break them, major repercussions will happen, especially with vows, because binding vows don't just have to work with your CT or with your curse energy. You can also make binding vows like a pact, like kind of what Mekamaru did with those guys who I'm not saying because that's a spoiler, but it's season 2, so why haven't you watched season 2 yet? It's really good. Anyway, having restrictions are an advanced version of binding vows. These are restrictions that are set on you from birth. Not a lot of characters are going to have heavenly restrictions. Heavenly restrictions exist in this system, so you can create a character like Mekamaru, Toji, or Maki. Characters who have very different play style, and they need very specific stuff. That's heavenly restrictions. So you want a character like Mekamaru, who has a wide range curse technique. You could then say, okay, my character has a heavenly restriction, but in exchange for wide range curse energy, they're missing their arms and legs, something. Same thing if you want to make a character like Toji or Maki, well, then you say, I have 0 curse energy in exchange for an enhanced body, which that would kind of be up to the DM of how much of a boost you're getting, but you get some kind of boost to your power and speed. Curse tools work like support items in the support items in class 1C. And that's kind of it. Curse tools work like that. Curse tools also fall under the grading scale, where curse tools are graded from grade 5 all the way to special. However, and on top of that, curse tools can have a CT. However, if they have CT, they're immediately put on their special grade. Just because a curse tool has a CT doesn't mean they have to be at special grade strength. It's just whenever they get curse technique, they are immediately listed under special grade. Like the curse tool Toji used, like that chain curse tool, isn't exactly at special grade strength, but it's technically a special grade curse tool because it has a curse technique. Same thing with like that chain curse tool isn't on the same level as Heavenly Spear. Even though they're both special grades, they're not on the same level. So you can give a curse tool a technique without making them special grade power level. Shikigami are non-innate techniques formed by Jujutsu sorcerers. Shikigami are a very important part of certain Jujutsu sorcerers' arsenal. Some Jujutsu sorcerers, this is their whole arsenal. So, Shikigami are creatures that your curse technique create. However, Shikigami also just exist in the world. Maybe we don't actually know how that works, because they could just be curses, and then once the curse gets essentially tamed by Shikigami, who knows? But you can also have a Shikigami and not have it be a part of your curse technique, kind of like Yuki and her Shikigami. That is not a part of her curse technique. She just has it. However, most people Shikigami are directly tied to their curse technique. Usually they summon that Shikigami with their curse technique. However, it doesn't happen all the time, and if you want, you can just have a Shikigami and it not be tied to anything. Also, Shikigami are graded like everything else, where they range from grade 5 all the way up to special grade. However, they aren't like curse tools where just because they have curse technique, they're immediately special grade. Special grade curse looking at this guy, special grade shikigami are special grade for a reason. Curtains. Curtains is something that we don't see used often in the series. However, this is something that you can learn. Curtains allows you to add rules to a barrier, and kind of you add rules, and then the curtain follows those said rules. So you can make a rule saying, you can make a curtain that says no non-jutsu sorcerers are allowed to leave this curtain. However, in order to do that, first you must unlock the skill. Then you have to say, emerge from darkness, blacker than darkness, purify that which is impure. Then you can cast a curtain. Divergent Fist. This is when we get into the techniques that will help those who do not want a curse technique and just want to fight with their fist. Divergent Fist is a technique that we see used very often, mainly by Yuji Itadori, well, up until the Goodwill fight, the Goodwill arc. Essentially, in order to mimic the double hit effect of Divergent Fist, you get essentially an extra d6 added to your 1d4 damage modifier. So in order to use Divergent Fist, you would roll control roll. If you succeed on that control roll, that is +2. That control roll will be +2 more than your normal CE enhancement control roll. If you succeed on that, you add an extra 1d4 to your damage. Technically, what we should have done is it should have been 1d4 and it stuns for the Divergent Fist, but that's just like a worse version of targeted strike. So it does an extra d6. The 1d4 and 1d6 can be affected with curse energy output modifiers. So keep that in mind. Because if you are going for purely fist only, you're gonna want to get Divergent Fist. And this next technique called Destructive Fist, which is one of the first new things I'm adding to the Jujutsu Kaisen world. Destructive Fist is a technique that's similar to Divergent Fist, where it is based on curse energy and less on a technique. However, the Destructive Fist is more about charging up your curse energy to hand out very strong attacks. So for instance, in order to perform Destructive Fist, there is no control check because you have to wait a turn to charge up your curse energy. And for every turn you spend charging up your curse energy, you gain an extra 1d8 damage to already 1d4 of normal curse energy attack damage. Now, this damage isn't like the exact damage you'll do. This is the modifier. So you add it to your normal punch. So let's say you want to punch a curse. You want to use Destructive Fist. Cool. You use Destructive Fist and you charge up Destructive Fist for 3 turns. Cool. You are doing your normal attack damage plus an extra 1d4 plus, since you charged up for 3 turns, 3d8 of damage. Destructive Fist is very powerful and can one-shot some opponents. However, if you get attacked mid-charge, you immediately lose Destructive Fist. You cannot perform it since you were interrupted. Black Flash, this is where we get interesting, and this is honestly favorite thing we did with this system. Black Flash is a technique that any sorcerer at any point in time can accidentally or purposely do. Black Flash is where sorcerers infuse their curse energy at just the right time that it essentially creates a critical hit effect. In order to mimic this, if at any point in time you succeed on a control roll, you Black Flash. Now, what does Black Flash mean? Black Flash means you multiply the damage by 2.5. Technically, we should multiply the damage by... You should increase the damage by a power of 2.5. However, if you do that, the damage would one-shot everything. So instead, you multiply damage by 2.5. It gets a similar effect of performing Black Flash does a lot of damage, and it's insane. However, you are not breaking the game. Yeah, Black Flash is very powerful, and all you have to do is just crit on a control roll. Which, if you want to look up critting in this system is where you either reach or go above the max you can roll on, in this case, a control roll. So if you have a 2 in control and you roll control, if you get above a 12, if you get 12 or above, you black flash. However, it also has to involve the use of CE, so you can't just like do a random control roll and then black flash. It has to be you are using a control roll for curse energy in order to perform black flash. This is also a very important arsenal, a technique to have for people who just use their fists. Is very important to have. Domain expansions are the most iconic and powerful ability in Jujutsu Kaisen. If you've watched the series, you know what domain expansions are. So let's just get into it. There are 3 types of domain expansions. The first being incomplete domain expansions. An incomplete domain is a domain expansion that isn't fully complete. So because of that, they don't have some effects of a fully utilized domain expansion. So to mimic that same effect, incomplete domain expansions do not have a barrier, so that means people can come in and out, and they don't have a sure hit effect like normal domains. However, the upside to this is that there is no theoretical range to the domain, because incomplete domain expansions, they use their surroundings as a barrier. So because of that, there is no set range. On top of that, they don't cost as much as normal domain expansions, but you still get the same effects from a normal domain expansion, except for the sure hit. But another downside that kind of crippled this a bit is that you have to roll a control check every turn. If you fail that control check, the domain expansion disappears. This domain expansion lasts for 8 turns, and once those 8 turns are up, doesn't matter if you succeed or fail on control roll, domain expansion disappears, and then you cannot use your CT for 5 turns because of curse technique burnout. Lethal domain expansions. A lethal domain expansion is the most common type of domain expansion. These are your basic and normal domain expansions, what all the other domain expansions are based on. So in order to perform domain expansion, you first have to roll a control check that is, again, set very high. Once you have that, inside the domain, anybody inside the domain is going to be hit by an attack no matter what. They cannot dodge the attack, they can block it and reduce the damage, but any technique you use inside the domain will be guaranteed hit. Domain expansions can be anything you want, as long as the DM okays it. Also inside the domain expansion, all moves you would want to use is halved. So, for instance, let's use Jogo as an example. Jogo domain allows him to, it increases his fire curse energy, curse technique, and overall just increases his damage, and it gives him a sure hit effect. So let's say that attack he did against Gojo, when Gojo was using him as an example, that big wall of fire he threw at him. Let's say normally that would cost 20 curse energy, but because he's in his domain, that attack he just did only costs 10 curse energy, and it doesn't reduce the damage because you are not making a weaker form, you are simply halving the curse energy. On top of that, once inside, sorcerers cannot break out of the barrier. It's just, we have shown multiple times, unless you use like simple domain or you overpower it with another domain, there's no way out of a domain expansion. There are ways in, no way out. Also, lethal domains, much like incomplete domain expansions, only last for 8 turns, and afterwards, the caster suffers curse technique burnout and cannot use their curse technique 5 turns. Non-lethal domain expansions. Non-lethal domain expansions act like lethal domain expansions, but there are a couple key differences. The first being is that it is more based off of rules. There's no lethalness to this because of the way it is built. It is built to essentially create a game, and the people inside the domain expansion must follow that game. Some examples of this, like Higuruma and Hikari, where they aren't, again, what they do are not games, but the way they work is that they set rules, and then people have to follow those rules, and some stuff can happen. Also, all effects inside the domain are free, since you already paid for those effects with your domain expansion. So unlike in lethal domains, where in order to use technique, it costs curse energy, this doesn't, since the game has started, and there's no way you can use, you can't use a domain technique, not a domain technique, but you can't use techniques inside of it, because the technique itself is the game. On top of that, once the game ends, or the non-lethal domain expansion ends, it only takes 2 turns to recover from curse technique burnout. Because we wanted to, because that just kind of makes sense. It's kind of Hikari's whole thing, is that even when he gets like a Hikari and Higuruma, that they can kind of just spam it, and that's sort of the whole point of non-lethal domain expansion, is that you can just spam it. Now, in order to counter domain expansions, there are many anti-domain techniques. The first and most common one is simple domain. Simple domain is a technique specifically made to counter the sure hit effect of a domain. It doesn't cancel out a domain, but negates a sure hit effect. Now, whenever you can cast a simple domain as a reaction to somebody casting a domain expansion. Now, the way this works is that once you cast it, you roll 1d4 plus technique. And whatever you roll, then after that, once you roll 1d4 plus technique, then the caster domain rolls technique roll as well. Oh, you roll... I messed this up, sorry. This was not my slide. This was Justin's slide. But, so basically, what you would do, somebody uses a domain expansion. You cast simple domain. You then would roll 1d4 plus your tech. Then the person who casts that domain, well, that actually doesn't matter. I'm reading this wrong. So sorry. Once you cast simple domain, you then reduce whatever you rolled by the caster's technique stat. So, look at this example right here. That explains it pretty well. Simple domain is very good for countering domain expansions. However, simple domain isn't just used for domain expansion. They are also used for New Shadow Style. New Shadow Style is a technique that honestly is one of the coolest non-curse techniques in the series besides Black Flash, because it's very cool. So because of that, I also included all of the techniques from New Shadow Style, which there are only 2. So, yay. But these techniques are very strong, and there's a lot to talk about with New Shadow Style, so you're going to have to read this on their own. But these are the 2 original techniques. Now, I wanted to create more techniques for New Shadow Style, because it was such a cool technique. We only got this all a few times, and overall, it didn't really prove itself to be a whole technique that anybody can learn, and you can be on par with sorcerers. Like, we saw 2 moves, and the best you can do is that, oh, it's a guaranteed hit. I was like, that's cool, but that's kind of it. So because of that, I added 3 more moves to the New Shadow Style, essentially fighting style. I added 3 new moves that all do 3 different things. Moonlight Draw is for disarming people that then leads into another attack. Crescent Moon Draw is similar to Beto Draw, however you launch targets in the air. Then Eclipse Sword Drawing is where you can attack targets in the air and gain an extra attack. All of these 2 techniques are specifically designed after Virgil, his whole moveset. That's just something I came up with. So, yeah, you can kind of see what I'm trying to turn New Shadow Style into. If you get New Shadow Style, I'm trying to make you Virgil, where you just draw your sword and just go nuts. Another anti-domain technique is Falling Blossom Motion. This is similar to New Shadow Style with a few different things. Instead of rolling technique, you roll physical attack plus technique and compare it against the damage of the sure hit effect. If the damage is the same or higher, it nullifies the attack. If it's lower, sure hit damage will be subtracted by that much. It's similar to simple domain. However, instead of immediately, you essentially have to re-roll every turn, every time somebody wants to attack you. And yeah, not a lot of people are going to use this because it's not, like, it's good. It depends on your fighting style, essentially. This could work for somebody who does more aggressive fighting style. Another anti-domain technique is domain implication. This is, in order to use this, you first have to have a domain. Once you have this, you can amplify your domain, and you can, first off, negate the sure hit effects of domain expansions, but you can also turn off somebody's curse technique by attacking them. This is effective as an anti-domain technique, but it's also just effective as a normal technique in general. Anti-domain Hollow Wicker Basket. Hollow Wicker Basket essentially acts the same as simple domain, but it's a bit different. It costs less, and that's kind of it. It costs less. So this is simple domain for people who don't want to go into simple domain, essentially. Philosophy of sorcery. This itself is this. Okay, I'm just gonna read this because this is very interesting, and I genuinely like this. This is a way for sorcerers to gain moves or jujutsu skills that they've learned mid-fight, because that's one of the biggest. We see that all the time in Jujutsu Kaisen, where somebody will be fighting another person, they'll start to lose, then halfway through they'll have a revelation and they'll unlock a new technique, like Megami, Chingojo, kind of Yuji a little bit in the Haname fight. So in order to achieve this state, you have to be below 25% of natural health, and then if you pass a control set by the DM, you can unlock a new move, or you can unlock one of the Jujutsu skills that you are trying to unlock on this mission. This is very powerful, and it's not going to happen a lot. This essentially explains the whole midway through, you unlock a new technique. This is what this does. Scheme and sorcery. Scheme and sorcery essentially works the same as sneak attack in D&D, where if you surprise an opponent, you gain an extra. First off, you gain advantage to the hit and extra D8 damage. So this kind of, a lot of Jujutsu Kaisen fights are all about misdirection and misleading your opponent and trying to understand what they are doing, while also trying to make it so they don't understand what you're doing. So by surprise attacking an opponent by either using an ability that they've never seen before, and not in a sense of, oh, I've never seen it, but like they think, okay, I know what your ability is. Whoa, where did that come from? They gain advantage to hit and extra D8. Or just in general, if you surprise attack an opponent, like, which will kind of be said by the DM, because some will be like, well, no, that's not a surprise attack. So I'll be like, yeah, it's a surprise attack, adds more damage. Then is where it'll go. A scheme and sorcery is kind of like, this is going to be solely up to the DM. Kind of like with the philosophy of sorcery, all this stuff is kind of RP based and up to the DM and what they want to happen. You can make this happen, like as a player, you can force this to happen, but overall, it's just going to be the DM going, yeah, you get a scheme and sorcery, or actually, yeah, you know what, you get a new technique. Just how it is. Jujutsu skills, this is the one thing that I borrowed, is what we're going to say, from Breathe and Live, where, like in Breathe and Live, you get a study slot to put into your skills. So you get a study slot. And then if you go on missions, you can... Well, okay, let me start over. So, in Breathe and Live, there is this study slot system, where there's this whole list of skills, and if you go on a mission, you can take a skill and put that in your study slot. Once you pass the mission, you get that skill and your study slot frees up. We do something exactly like that in this system, but instead they're called Jujutsu skills instead of study slots. Well, Jujutsu skill slots instead of study slots. Jujutsu skills, there's a lot of them, and well, you gotta, yeah, there's just a lot of them. You can read more into all of these. A lot of these are good, like very good, and yeah. Cursed spirits. Cursed spirits are the enemy that sorcerers were made to fight. Cursed spirits are going to be one of the main enemies in this system. And yeah. Curses grade 3 and under fight with their claws, fangs, and other appendages. Curses semi-grade 1 and above possess a curse technique that they can use in combat. Cursed spirits, some cursed spirits advantage they get is regeneration. Since curses are made of negative curse energy, they can heal themselves automatically, and that roll to how much they heal depends on their grade level. Curses also don't have any shape size, so the DM can go as crazy as they want with what curses look like, because they don't have any one shape, set, or form, so you can kind of go nuts with them. Also, once curses die, their body turns to black dust and disappear. Technically, that's not how they work, because they kind of just poof out of existence, but that seems cooler. So, here is Curse Spirit grade levels. This is essentially their stats you can give to curses. These stats don't have to be exact, so like a grade 4 doesn't have to have 15 or 35. They can have somewhere just in between all of these. These do not have to be exact, as long as they're in the similar ballpark. So like a grade 4 wouldn't have 45 health. That should be a grade 3 at that point. but you can kind of do whatever you want. This is more just a suggestion of what cursed spirits would have, if and like what level they should be. But you might notice something. There's technically, instead of 6 levels, there's actually 7. Disaster curses aren't an actual grade. It's just a category. Kind of like Jogo, Hanami, Mahito, Dagon. They are all technically special grades. They are not special grade level. They are way stronger than any special grade we fought. So I gave them their own special disaster curse. These do not have to be disaster curses. You can just make a special grade at this level. But you kind of get what I mean of these are disaster curse level curse spirits. They don't have to be disaster curses, but this is the level they are at. Like, you can make a special grade at disaster curse level. Doesn't mean they're disaster curses, just they are on that level. These are the stats to create it. What I did, I essentially gave it a point system where you can put a certain amount of points into a curse stat. So a curse would start off at 1 in every stat, and then depending on the level, depending on the grade, they get that many points. So grade 1, they get a point to add into any stat they want. Grade 4, well, grade 5 gets 1 point. Grade 4, 2 points, 2 to 4 points, 3, 6 to 8, so on and so forth. On top of that, depending on the grade level, depends on how many actions they have and how many d6s they heal, which healing takes a turn. Here's a example, which you'll see this grade 4 curse in use this Thursday. Vengeful spirits. Vengeful spirits are sorcerers or humans who have died and become something greater, or become a curse. So in order to mimic how powerful vengeful spirits are, because like, this guy, he's a vengeful spirit. Forgot her name. Rika, she's technically a vengeful curse spirit. So vengeful spirits are very strong, and to mimic that, essentially whatever stats they had when they were alive gets multiplied by 2. So this guy, if I don't want to spoil, but this guy, when he was a human, let's say he had like 3 in power, 4 in speed, 4 in tech, 2 in intelligence, and 1 in combo. Well, then all those stats would be multiplied by 2. And they don't have to just stop at 5. They can go beyond 5 if they want. You can have him have 8 technique in like 6 power. Vengeful spirits are supposed to be the strongest enemy, strongest curse enemy any sorcerer should be fighting. Like, vengeful spirits are supposed to be ridiculously strong. These are supposed to be like in-game bosses, essentially. And that's it. The system, it's goes over. It's done. Thank you for watching the video and being here. There shouldn't be anything. Oh yeah, I guess go watch go read Witch Hat Altair, or watch Gintama, you know, yeah. But yep, overall the system is over. Thank you for watching this video. This should be it. And if you made it this far, in the comments, on top of in the comments, leaving any questions or critiques you have of this system, in the comments, leave an OC you made. Like, leave a character you made using this system in the comments, and who knows, I might steal them and use them. I probably won't steal them, I'll ask you. But who knows, I might ask you to feature your OC in this system. In this campaign. Who knows? So leave that in the comments, and yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, you 5 people.